Keep talking.
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang.
Wu-Tang Clan. Trademark, not us.
Not us.
Yeah, it's
you're
someone
just
else.
like you in the room. Like, are we recording? Are we recording?
Yeah.
Is this recording? All right, welcome back to. Oh shit, we didn't think up a name because we're not going with a real name.
No, it's blood on the microphone.
Blood on the microphone. That's right.
Blood on the microphone.
Blood on the microphone. Welcome to Blood on the Microphone. I'm Rob. With me is.
Oh God, I'm so hungover. Spencer.
Did you really do that much drinking?
No, I just had rum, and I never drink rum. My downstairs neighbor's moving, and she was giving me a lot of shit that I don't drink. And so I've had 12 more Mike's Hard lemonades than I've ever had in my life.
One step off of Zima here.
Yeah, and Bacardi. and so between the not mixed together, that's important. They weren't mixed together.
I about puked a little in my mouth there.
Yeah, no, they weren't mixed together. But those are two drinks I never ever have, and they're just sitting in my fridge. And I was like, you know what? I slept for 16 hours. Let's do it.
Let's make a podcast.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have much to lose.
my first note was like, holy shit, how are you, buddy?
Yeah,
I guess I know.
Yeah, right. How are you?
Good. I've been too fucking busy. Sorry, that's why none of this has been going on. But 3 dart leagues and everything else in my world. So now I'm like, okay, dart league is over. I can actually sit down and podcast.
Also, I mean. Not a lot of Kendrick Lamar news in the last 3 months, so we just decided to take a break until he popped up again. And
it's true. Until he comes back out with that next fresh hit.
Yeah.
Fresh hit.
Yeah.
English. But no, I'm all in, Kendrick Lamar podcast.
Yeah, right? No, I've been sitting on stories for all 3 months. I don't know about you. I mean, obviously, it's been you in the political corner. Nothing's happened.
Nothing's happened.
It's been real quiet. Everything's fine.
Silent. Yeah, absolute silence.
No one's terrified. I know that a fucking Tesla cut in front of me in traffic today, and I about lost my shit. I was on my way, and I'm like,
your stock's terrible.
Yeah, literally. I'm like, I don't think I would have been quite as upset if it wasn't a Tesla.
Right.
I'd just be like, oh, they must have a woman giving birth in the back seat, and that's why they're driving like an asshole. And I'm like, no.
Wait, it's a Tesla. They might.
Yeah, I'm like, no. I'm like, if it's a Tesla, they're just a fucking asshole.
No, I mean,
I hope that baby dies.
Breeding,
I'm like, okay. I'm joking. I hope all babies die, regardless of what car they're in.
Fair.
And
this is very against the Musk plan.
Yeah, there goes our viewership.
I don't know. The people have walked up and said, when's the next one coming out? I'm like, you fucking listen to this? That's
I know, right?
Weird.
I've had my mom and I think my cousin, who does not talk to me, like she texted me, she's like, hey, I hear you have a podcast. I'm like, I do. Who is this? They're like, it's your cousin. And I'm like, oh, I should really save your number. Sorry about that.
That's awesome.
But no, we're glad of all our listeners. At least one of them told me to kick you in the nuts.
You're on the other side of the room. We'll do it later.
Yeah, right. They were like,
fair enough.
Where are your new episodes? I was like, he's busy. And I honestly, I have no. I mean, I would have loved for you to blame it on me and just be like, oh, he's busy, and I'm like, am I?
Are you?
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know. My whole schedule revolves around throwing shit next to you and drinking next to you. But
yeah, fair enough.
Anywho,
I mean, I guess you're there for a lot of it, so yeah.
Yeah, right.
You're busy too. What do you want?
I actually am busy. I'm the most busy I've ever been while also unemployed. It's like, are you working 40 hours a week? I'm like, I'm doing more than 40 hours a week of not working right now.
That's so hard. You got to keep up on top of that.
God.
I mean, how much longer can you really call it not employed though? Because you're aren't you working like 3 days right now?
Yeah,
that's pretty close.
That's a whole
that's pretty close.
That's a whole bee's nest of just like no, no, I don't want to do this. I don't want to work here anymore. I am not a bartender. I just work here 3 nights a week, close 3 nights a week. And then I sleep at my mom's house 2 nights a week because I'm here 3 nights a week. And I am not a bartender, even though I...
What do you want to drink?
Yeah, pretty much. God, and and you know, a lot of these people, they're new. And there's nothing wrong with being new or trained somewhere else. And I'm just sitting there like, nope, I'm just going to keep my fucking mouth shut. like, you know, they're not doing anything wrong. They're just not doing it my way.
Right.
And so I'm like, nope, not my job. I'm not going to do it. But also fix your margarita.
I love this.
Yeah. Right.
So yeah, a lot of people listen to the podcast. And then the other thing that I kind of was just writing down notes of like, where the fuck to start out with this? Because like, I'm literally going to edit this right after we're done and publish it. This is the one that's going out today.
Yeah.
Like that's the plan. Just because like the other ones, I'll save those in a pocket for some time later. Maybe use them for extra stuff. But since we're kind of topical, we should probably stay on topic. It's May.
Yeah. Right.
Like May 22nd is our last podcast. Like fuck.
Yeah. Like, well, and honestly, another title for our podcast could be "Stay on Topic?" ? Like,
no, or not May. Is it May or March?
It is May.
Yeah, no, it was March. Excuse me.
Oh yeah.
I get those backed up in my head because I'm.
They both start with an M and an A.
Yeah,
it's okay. Time is relative.
So everyone in the world has a podcast now.
Yeah, right.
Like, why does everyone need a fucking podcast?
Well, I know why I need one. Because I like to be listened to, and honestly, I do.
Because I can't afford therapy.
Yeah, right. Because I can't afford therapy. But the other thing I was thinking, I was like, you know, if we're ever feeling like we aren't valued enough, we could just go on another 3-month hiatus and see who asks us about the show.
Yeah. You fucking want it? You gotta fucking ask for it. Oh, man.
Right? Like, but anywho, we want to start with my fun stuff?
Oh, I mean, no, not yet. I'm gonna turn it down in here a little bit more.
Okay.
Your hot air is heating us up. Joking. So no, not yet. Let's see what else is on my list. No, but that's it. We want to start with your stuff now?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that was great.
We are organized as fucking.
This is a great segue.
Absolutely.
And I mean, for those who are curious about our methodology, Rob always shows up with something written out.
I do.
Like written out, like pages and pages of notes and thoughts and prayers that I assume most of them we don't actually get to.
No, we never do. Well, I was told, why aren't you doing an hour? So I guess we're doing an hour now.
Oh, we're doing an hour?
We're doing a whole fucking hour.
Yeah, thanks for telling me.
Well, I told you we're organizing shit around here.
Yeah. But
everyone's doing a podcast.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone, like, they're either on TikTok making the shortest form possible content, or they're rattling on for an hour plus on a goddamn voice. And everyone's doing video. I don't want to do video.
Wait, do you have a TikTok?
No.
Okay, me neither.
No.
Good.
But
should we get on that?
No. I look, the minute we do that, more people are getting involved in TikTok. That's what I've learned.
Okay.
Since everyone now has a podcast, every news person, every celebrity, everyone's podcasting suddenly. Yeah. It's been around since what? The early 2000s? Fucking... Now they're doing it? Assholes.
Idiots.
My thing.
But
what do you have?
Much like us, we didn't know what TikTok meant to us until it was almost taken away for 12 hours. Granted, we actually went away for 3 months, but
and I still don't know what TikTok's supposed to mean to me. I did like the 12 hours it was off. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, no, I almost cared for 12 hours. I should say like 2. I'm pretty sure I was sleeping for 10 of them.
And then Trump's like, "You learned your lesson. Get out of there."
I'm like, God, to be that guy's son. You're on timeout. All right, now that you're out of your giant room.
With your TV and your Xbox and your computer.
He's like, Anywho.
I was tortured.
My topic, and this is actually good. This is something that I've noticed over the last 3 months that I actually love, okay? And it is celebrities shitting on journalists.
Like literally?
Okay, I haven't seen any videos of this, of the actual defecation. But no, I've seen like a lot of and young celebrities calling out journalists to their face,
calling them out
and telling them what fucking idiots they are. And I'm not saying all journalists are idiots, but we live in a media heavy age, and everyone has like oh, well, if someone says something, that's great because now I can use this And it's like, no.
What do you mean by now that they've said it, you can use it?
Like,
this might slide into my top. No, it won't.
Like,
they're adjacent.
So specifically, Bill Burr. So Bill Burr's not young, and everyone loves Bill Burr. If you don't like Bill Burr, I probably, socially, I'll probably just quote him to you constantly.
Then you probably don't like Bill Burr.
Yeah, but no, it was at the Conan O'Brien just won the Mark Twain Prize for Comedy.
Mm-hmm.
I watched the whole ceremony, very well deserved. He gave a great speech, but before it, Bill Burr was being asked on the red carpet or whatever color carpet they have anymore, like, what do you think of? Or you said something about, I think it was the guy who shot the pharmaceutical guy in New York.
Oh, right.
Luigi something?
Yeah.
And they were like...
It wasn't pharmaceutical, it was insurance.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, medical insurance.
Something like that. Yeah. And they were like, what do you think about this? You said this. And he's like, what? And they're like, well, you said this in the past. And he's like, yeah, I'm not doing this. And I'm like, at this point, I was like, oh, hell yes. This is my favorite moment on TV. and he just shut him down. He was like, no, I'm not going to be your clickbait. I'm not going to be your way to get views. Yes, I said something about this, but he's like, I'm not a journalist, you know?
Right.
And that's the thing that I think that this country has lost specifically because Donald Trump is such a media frenzy of a human being. And I think that that's a fair thing to say.
No, that's fair.
Whether you like the guy or not, he is
that's fair.
Social media, everything. And so everyone treats their celebrities, their friends, their family like they're running for office. And it's like anything you say can be held against you. And I'm like, no. Free speech, First Amendment. That's been going on for what? Our country's at least 50 years old, right?
It's almost 250 years old.
I don't care. You're like almost 50 years old. You were here at the beginning of the country.
I was.
But anywho, that was a joke, by the way. I know how old the country is. To all of our listeners, I'm not an idiot. Don't turn us off.
I know.
But
I just had to deadpan it so you sounded bad.
I appreciate that.
That's my whole job here is to make sure you sound bad.
Oh. Nailing it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Maybe. I don't know. We could try something else.
Yeah.
Want to try something else? All right. Go on.
But yeah, no, and he just called them out. Like called out these journalists to his face. Told them they had no balls. Mm-hmm. Told them that they're passing the buck to celebrities to push their own agendas. And even downgraded his own opinion in public because he's like, no, I'm a comedian. I'm here to do comedy. I'm here to support Conan O'Brien, okay? It's your job to do the fucking news. I'm not going to do your job for you. Figure it out how to do your job because you guys suck at it now. Especially if you're asking a comic, like, actual questions, and they're like, oh, well, comics pick up on what's happening topically. And he's just like, no. He's like, I get my news from Instagram. Like... between motorcycle crash videos and I think like cheetahs eating prey or something like that. But whatever it was, and again, I'm paraphrasing. Yeah. But he was just like, y'all got to figure out what you're doing because if you're quoting me, you're fucking idiots. And I love that. I love any celebrity that's willing to shut down the media honestly and also not act like they are super important.
Yeah, I did like the way he finished that whole thing with like, go talk to somebody else. I'm just a walking clown.
Yeah,
like, Like literally, I'm a court jester for all this matters, right?
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, he is. And don't get me wrong, I love Bill Burr. I love his take on things. I think he is very well, and that's the thing about comedy these days. That's the thing about media and movies. That's the thing about professional wrestling these days. Is that people like honesty. People like reality. And I even... He's laughing because I said professional wrestling, which is notoriously not real, but... Yeah,
I was just... That's an... I mean, I get it. I like that's a weird flex to go on, but all right.
Well,
carry on.
Well, I could even go further down that rabbit hole.
Baby, show me where the hole ends.
But
goes? I don't know.
Hulk Hogan more or less the most famous wrestler of all time, Hulk Hogan,
Yeah.
has had a tumultuous last 10 years where people are finding out that the guy who he was on TV for the majority of his time on TV is not the person he is behind the scenes.
Right.
And that, racial statements, disrespect, just being not a good teammate to your fellow workers,
Yeah, wrestlers and all that.
And last time he was on TV, he was booed out of the arena.
Really?
And I even read a thing where he chalked it up to his like political beliefs. He's like, oh, they don't like my political beliefs. And then there was another guy who returned on the exact same episode who has the exact same political beliefs, cheered like a fucking god. And I read a thing and they were like, I think the problem is that in a more honest age or an age where authenticity is important, because there's so much bullshit now, and it's like being authentic is really what sells. They're like, no, this guy very clearly behind closed doors is not the person that he portrays on TV. And so no matter how great he is or has been, we don't want it anymore. It's just not where we are. And so going back to Bill Burr being so authentic and awesome, I'm like, why isn't this on the fucking news? Why isn't this guy calling out the media? Shut it. Not even, and he's not talking himself up. He's like talking himself down so that journalists can realize how fucking dumb they are. Not all journalists, but those types of journalists that are like, oh, well, this person said this. And it's like, who gives a shit?
Gotcha. There's so many ways I can go with this.
Yeah.
There's a lot within journalism right now that I think's on the floor. Some of it is their own fault.
Yeah.
Some of it is the fault of our political climate. And then I think the rest of it is backlash and fallout from that and just our short attention span theater world where we've started to get into, right? Between what's going on. So and it's not just social media that's causing this. It's not like Instagram and TikTok that's causing this. AI is causing it too.
Yeah.
In many ways. When you can just get why do I read the book when I can just type in and get the final answer through AI, things like that, right? So there's all kinds of pieces in there. But up front, I do agree. Journalism is moved into, it's a for-profit problem.
Yeah.
Everything is breaking news. There isn't a day that breaking news. It's like, shouldn't that be something that happens like every once in a while? Not every day. They have to sensationalize everything in order to get viewership, to get people to tune in and listen. It needs to be aggressive, and it doesn't really matter what it covers.
Yeah, and I guess then for me, then I would say the root of the problem goes back to the whole reason we're here, which is the people who read this shit. The ones who are like, oh my God, someone said something. Oh my God, someone's wearing something. Oh
well, then this goes back to they can't. The reason they go at Bill Burr, the reason that they ask the questions they're asking is the clickbait reactionary.
Yeah.
That's what sells. That's what's going to keep them getting paychecks. And at the end of the day, that is what a lot of reporting has come into. I wouldn't even call it really journalism anymore.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I think we almost need to separate the two things and not conflate. One is journalism. One is literally just reporting.
Yeah.
And the other is journalism, where you actually dig into a subject, figure out what's going on, give some ideas, possibly where you go with it, all that. That's actually journalism.
Yeah. Well, and further with that, and I learned this when I was in journalism school. I did not get my degree. Don't quote me as a journalist.
Don't you quote me.
No, I'm not claiming.
I ain't said shit.
But and this was 2016, 2017. They were talking about the evolution of journalism, and how it used to be like what you're saying, just straight reporting. This is what was said. This is what happened, and it was on the reader to have their opinions from what actually happened. If this person said this and you don't agree with it, that was on you. That was on you to read that and be like, well, I know that's not true. It's like when and using a very green, very non. There was a time that like Joaquin Phoenix was being interviewed and on the red carpet, and he said something like, "I think I have frogs in my hair," and it's like, well, clearly he doesn't. Do we try? And that reporter would write, Joaquin Phoenix said on the red carpet that he had frogs in his hair.
Definitely on mushrooms.
Yeah, whatever it was. But it was on the reader to read that and be like, well, did he have frogs? He didn't have frogs in his hair. He's just saying something and this guy was reporting it. Let's move on with our fucking lives. you know, and maybe he's a weird dude. Maybe he's not. Please be my friend, Joaquin Phoenix. But outside of that,
you just wanted to talk about Joaquin
I do.
Phoenix,
I love that man. And he's someone else who hates everything. And I appreciate that about him. But that was how things were initially reported, this is what happened. This is what was said. That's it. And it's not like no one was supposed to tell you whether or not that was true. It was like, well, obviously Joaquin Phoenix doesn't have frogs in his hair. We're not fucking idiots. Now it's like, well, did he? Oh, well, he must have been doing this or this. And it's like, you could just move on with your life. Just be like, okay, Joaquin's a weird dude. I like him. But
be my friend.
The next step of that was, it's no longer just what happened. It's like, this is what happened. And then this here is the evidence of why it's not true. And unfortunately, we're going to bring up old Donald here because regardless of his politics, whatever, he says a lot of stuff and he'll just throw it out there. And he does. He just throws it out there. And sometimes it's true. Sometimes it's not. And because, yeah, I'm being, ironically, I'm being very liberal here in the way that I'm just giving him at least any credit for what he says. But it's true. He'll just throw something out there. And then now, if you want to do good reporting, you have to be like, oh, well, he said this, but we have found the evidence to say this is not true.
Mm-hmm.
Or this is true. And that's how it is now, just because that's the world we're living in. And it's not entirely Donald Trump's fault. He's not helping. Again, okay. I'm being non-combative here.
It's definitely Biden's problem.
Yeah,
Biden's
right. Yeah, right. But I thought that was interesting. That's and we've gone even farther into that. I think where it really is just people telling you what you should think, and instead of I guess trusting the reader to make their own opinions about things. It's like, no, they want to be given their opinion. They want to be told, well, and even now, it's like, okay, well, this person said this, and here's the evidence that they're wrong. And then people are like, well, that's not wrong. And it's like, what do you fucking do with that? Like as soon as you're giving them actual evidence to look at and be like, this person is wrong. And they're like, well, I like this person, so they're not wrong. It's like, I
respect your opinion, and I'll be over here having my drink.
Yeah, right.
I think that's about all you can do.
Yeah, I mean, but again,
unless they really want to have a real debate about it, which no one does.
Yeah, no, people just like arguing.
Right.
And I'll always go back to what I said in like episode 2, like righteous anger feels good. And that's kind of where we are, where it's like, oh, well, I'm upset. And I'm like, if it's not happening to me, I really don't give a shit. I mean, sometimes I'm like, good on you, like I do with Bill Burr in this situation.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that if you are reading things and you are being told the facts and you can't read the facts and get behind the truth, then everything we do in the media is pointless.
Well, like I said, doesn't sell. The other piece within that that is also being more in the norm these days is the comedians and satire are more in touch with what's going on, I'd say, than news is currently willing to dig in and really push on right now. John Oliver, Jon Stewart, all these bigger kind of news style satire comedy shows are pressing towards the right issues. But you can't. It's harder for mainline media right now or mainline journalism right now to do that, either because of ownership of said companies like the Washington Post or ABC, who's under litigation because Trump doesn't like what was being said there, believes it should be illegal. So, and then it's becoming to the point or it is coming to the point now where AP can't even be in the news conferences for the White House because they're not a U.S. based news group. They're worldwide. So when AP wouldn't bow and say, yeah, it's the Gulf of America, they got kicked out of the news press junkets because they still use Gulf of Mexico. And so even when you've got people who are working for Fox and such, which come to interview with Trump and they literally are trying to serve up softball questions, and Trump is making weird claims about what's tattooed on someone's hand, and the interviewer's like, we'll just have to agree to disagree. No, you don't. Like, that's where your journalist comes in and says, yeah, show me the picture. Show me the evidence. That's what I'm here to do, is find the truth. Show me where the truth is. They're so scared to do that right now because of everything else that's going on within our system. And I mean, John Oliver just did a hit piece on this on Sunday about what is going on with our current media, the litigations that are going on, the way they're getting shut down, the way they're getting investigated by FCC, who's in charge of the FCC now, which it's no longer a bipartisan group. It's someone who is a Trump supporter on that. So now so that makes it fall into the Republican conservative arm. There's a lot going on, and there's a lot around this that we got to be very careful with when we look at all that, because some of these people just are trying to make $1 and not get sued. Some of them do believe this stuff. Some of them don't. There's a really murky water right now. The core thing I'd say in all this is we need to stand up for making sure that people can say what they want. Freedom of speech is directly under attack right now. And the freedom of the press is directly under attack right now. And if we're not careful, we're going to lose all of it. And once you lose it, it's really hard to get it back. So
yeah.
Keep that in mind.
Yeah. No, and I agree with everything you said. And it's really easy to do that. You have good information. But
sorry.
No, and I agree. And I think that when did it become, and you know, you and I are adults.
On paper.
Most days. He says, knowing that next week we're in a fucking dart finals.
Yeah, we're literally going to be in a well, it might be considered a weekend at Bernie, or like not weekend at Bernie's, but like a summer vacation with darts as an overtone to it.
I literally told my girlfriend, and I was like, you don't really have to worry about anything happening at this. I don't know any women who are like attractive and play darts. Like, like. Oh,
you'll see something there.
Yeah, but I don't like the speech impediment.
Well, then don't have it.
Oh, that's fair. That's fair. I do slur my S's when I'm sober. Goes away when I'm drunk. That's fucking weird. But
that is weird.
But no. But back to the topic. I do think that you brought up an interesting point of like, when did we, as a society, get to a place where someone we disagree with, we can't be in the same room as them. We can't be friends with them. We can't be around them because they have a different opinion. And it's like, you know, I realize there's a lot more to people than their opinion on one or two topics, you know, or three topics. I really don't give a shit how many topics. It really is about, in my opinion, who they are, what kind of a friend they are, and if
people have a hard time with differing opinions these days and not making it a personal
Yeah, and
attack.
And I don't get that because for me, I don't have anything against anyone who doesn't do something to me, you know. And you and I know each other well. Lots of people like to do things to me, for better or worse.
Tell me more.
Yeah, right. And for me, I'm like, this is. Did your family just like never? Like, and I don't mean your family like your brother and sister. I mean your family like your uncles and your aunts and your grandparents. Did none of them ever tell you as a child, like, you're a fucking child? You know, like, you know, because for me it was like, oh, well, I like video games. And they're like, well, you're a fucking idiot because you're a kid. And I'm like, yeah.
Cool.
You know, like, and that was the thing. It was like, it didn't make me hate them. It didn't make me love them any less. It was just like, oh, no, it's just, you know. They're adults and I'm a kid. And then I become an adult and it's like, okay, well, now we have differing opinions. And we do have differing opinions. And it's like, I don't hate them. I don't think they're pieces of shit. I don't agree with them. I sometimes feel the need to tell them they're wrong when they're wrong, but I don't love them less. And I don't sit there and be like, oh, well, my uncle's a piece of shit because he, you know, voted for Trump or whatever. That's just not how I do things. And I think that that's, if you're going to make lasting change in someone's life, that you have to be around people who disagree.
Oh, yeah.
And you do. And you have to understand that hating them and putting them on the shelf and being like, you're no longer a part of my life, that's not going to make any change for anyone. Because if I'm friends with someone and I care about someone and they're telling me why I'm wrong, I'm more likely to listen. Even if I don't necessarily agree with them, it's good to have their opinion and know where they're coming from, you know? And I think that that's something we've lost as a culture. And I don't, and I do see it particularly, and I saw it when I went to university, which, you know, is predominantly 18 to 23-year-olds.
Usually.
But those people kind of are now growing up to be that same way. And I'm like, no, that's not life. That's not real. You have to learn to be around people that you disagree with and learn to respect their opinion, even if you believe it's wrong.
Yeah. It's what we're talking about is emotional maturity.
Yeah.
And that is the display of a lack of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that cut and dry. The thing I had to get used to, and especially considering I've grown up on both sides of this thing. I grew up very conservative. I would say I'm still kind of fiscally conservative, but I'm very much socially liberal now.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to, when you have these kinds of conversations where your beliefs are attacked, that's a boundary push. And the response is usually a pushback in anger and other strong emotions like that. You need, the thing we don't do a very good job of is teaching people how to sit with those emotions, understand why they're having those emotions, and coming to a more rational decision on what they should do. It's just not done. It's not taught. And when you look at the fact that the family household, everyone works, no one's ever around, kids are being raised by daycare, schools that frankly aren't allowed to be as personally engaged with their kids for legal reasons anyway. And then they're shoved off into college where they rack up hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt and then have to try and solve the real world. And they don't even know how to fucking do taxes because no one ever taught them how. Yeah. Yeah. You've got a big broken system with no real good social training, teaching, and growth. And you can literally watch what's happening day to day all over the United States and see just how bad this blueprint works.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And that's a good point. But to get on to something that I also love.
Yes.
Okay, this is, and there were two really great instances of celebrities calling out the media in the last 3 months. One of them, and I saw it, and these are young, like I don't think either of them are either 20 or even 21. And so, which gives me a little bit of hope that I'm like, hopefully we're coming around. Hopefully.
Didn't we just talk about not having enough emotional maturity to do that? You're going to tell me, go on.
But Millie Bobby Brown, who is the chick from Stranger Things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll pretend I know this person.
Yeah. No, and I know nothing about her other than
what she just said.
Yeah. She was on Stranger Things.
And that.
And obviously she's an actress. And
no, that shit's real.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, no, weird. If we were in the Upside Down right now, I'd be like, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah, don't tell me I haven't watched Ted Lasso yet. God damn it, that's a problem.
Fucking love Ted Lasso.
3 times in one day.
Yeah.
3 times in one day. Have you watched Ted Lasso? No, I haven't watched Ted Lasso. I do too much shit. I don't have time for fucking TV.
Everyone watch Ted Lasso, okay? Are we on? Does this post on Apple?
Yes, it does.
You're welcome, Ted Lasso.
It's on Apple?
Yeah, it's on Apple.
Oh, no wonder why I haven't watched it. I thought it was on Netflix or some shit.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, you should also have Netflix.
I have Netflix. I don't have Apple.
Oh, okay. Well, get Apple. Okay?
No.
Oh. You've literally given me an Apple product in the last month.
Fuck Apple.
Aren't you literally holding an Apple product in
No, this is remarkable.
Oh, I don't know what that means.
The iPad's over there.
Oh, yeah. There we go. Thank you.
But that's a work thing. And then I guess I have the Macintosh, but I wanted it for Scrivener.
Keep digging this hole.
Yeah.
This is one that I think I won, ladies and gents. Voice your opinion on who won this little disagreement between him disliking Apple and me noticing all.
I'm more than fine to use some of their products, but I don't live inside their little fucking walled garden.
I mean, neither do I, but that's because I can't live there.
You're more now. I've already given you one Apple product.
Yeah, right. That immediately connected to my iPhone and my iPad.
And now rules your life.
But anywho,
go on.
No, so this is a young woman. We're back to Millie Bobby Brown.
Right.
This is a young woman who was, became famous at a very young age. I don't know how old she was, but she was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And now she is an adult. And people, journalists, media, whatever, our entertainment magazines are talking about her looks as she's maturing. And she literally was like, I think it's weird that grown adult men spend so much time thinking about how I look. And I was like, yeah, keep talking. Like literally keep talking. Cause yeah, and I don't know what was said about her looks. I really don't care to know. I
don't even know who she is. I'll have to look her up later.
I just care that she's not weird. Like she's not like a Lady Gaga type where she comes out and she's in these weird, ridiculous outfits. Like every time I've seen her in anything, she looks at least semi-normal. Like she looks like a person. She's, and I do. And you go down the list of people who dress super fucking weird to get attention. And that's because that's the thing now. And that's all well and good, but this is not one of those people. I've never really seen her wear like a meat dress, for lack of a better term. And so the fact that, she's just essentially kind of growing up and the media is like, oh, well, she looks this way. It's like, no, who gives a shit? Report on something that fucking matters. Ask her about it. She'll tell you. Like, I don't get it. Why do grown men sit in a room and think about how somebody they've never met looks because they're getting older? Like, not even old. I don't even know if she's 21. It'd be one thing if she was 80 and, walking with like a cane for the or a walker when yesterday you saw her and she looked fine. It's like, oh, she must not be doing well. It's like, then it's like, okay, yeah, that's fair.
What, like, where are we going with this one? I'm not completely.
I want more young celebrities talking about how fucking dumb it is how we focus on them.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, a lot of people hate their lives.
Yeah, right. I'm like,
and they want to live vicariously through others.
But to be fair, I fucking hate my life, and I'm not sitting here being like trashing how someone looks on the internet and being like, oh, these celebrities I really like look different.
Level of emotional.
Well, yeah, but we're here to talk about
I'm just not sure where to take the subject.
No, it's good. It's good. There's progress. Maybe you just skipped a generation. Maybe the next generation of like entertainers are going to be just very well taught and brought up to handle idiots who want to talk about them online.
They'll act in movies and then shit on their fans. Perfect.
I mean, I like it. I mean, honestly.
I mean, that's how we started this whole thing, right? Yeah. You want a journalist to shit on you. Let me go back and check the notes. Yep. Journalists that shit on you.
My other topic I wanted to bring up outside of my respect for this young woman who's
stop caring about I do. I mean, I guess there's I can say one thing is, yeah, I do feel people get very wrapped up in other people's lives. I mean, that's how we got the Kardashians, right? And Meet the Kardashians and all this weird reality TV where there's a show now, I guess, where wrestlers are. You see wrestlers' home life or some shit on TV on A&E or something. I don't know, but these things, someone fucking watches this stuff. I don't know.
Get your own life, people. That's what I'm saying. And I say that as someone who barely has a life. Get your own life.
Or, kill someone and take theirs.
Sure.
Spencer trying to figure out where to take this.
Yeah. What are we doing? I mean, I did just watch Silence of the Lambs where he did kill someone and then
take their life.
Yeah.
Oh. You're fine. They're pretty sturdy.
But one more piece of good news, and this is actually funny to me. The funniest shit. So,
okay.
Do you know what the Met Gala is?
Yes.
Okay, so I think the Met Gala is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard of. It is the most embarrassment of riches I've ever seen. And
it is.
Apparently there was a picture circulating of Billie Eilish, who is also a young lady.
Yeah.
Who, in my opinion, handles herself very well as a media personality.
I for the most part agree with you. The very first time I actually ever saw her outside of a music video was when she did the Hot Ones interview.
Yeah, no, and honestly, she seems really down to earth, and I think the thing about her music, and I don't know a lot about her music, is there's just a certain level of authenticity to it.
Yeah, that
really sells, and I respect that as an artist.
Actually, I think that has a lot to do with the fact she works with her brother on it.
Oh yeah, that probably also helps.
I think that helps. I really do feel they have a very organic, built, sound and vibe to them because they've kind of worked that themselves.
Yeah.
Versus working with a lot of, I don't know, pop producers.
Yeah, someone who's like, I know how you should sound. And it's like,
right.
Well, my brother knows and he's known me my entire life. So I agree. And that's true and that's fair. Anywho, back to the Met Gala. She there was apparently a picture of her circulating in some wild outfit and people posting online about how wild Billie Eilish was because she wore this outfit, and she had to do a press release or a tweet or a whatever where she was like, I wasn't at the Met Gala. Someone had AI photoshopped her into a Met Gala thing, and people are posting these stupid fucking opinions, and she's sitting there just so everyone knows, I wasn't there.
That is a worry these days. I actually, I think it was on YouTube. Dangerous AI.
Yeah,
they put together a whole press conference for Matthews, who played for the Toronto Leafs, who they lost in the 7th game to the Panthers, but it literally made it sound like he's yep, I totally choked and just started bad mouthing all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, man, it's really bad what this deep fake stuff can do. It's a whole new world of how do we make sure we keep ourselves safe and true.
Yeah. Well, and my advice there goes back to the beginning of get your own fucking experiences.
Yeah.
Have your own fucking experiences one-on-one with another person. And then you can be like, yeah, Rob was fucking drunk last night, and I know because I was there. He was drunk. He danced on a table. The media should be alerted. Rob was drunk and dancing on a table. I saw it myself. Okay, and then
I can tell the media that I'm just your dancing clown.
yeah, right. And but that is it. Like that is, I guess that is my beginning, middle, and end. Is at the end of it, have your own fucking life so you can tell your own fucking stories. And then when someone tries to AI you into the Met Gala, you can be like, I wasn't fucking there.
Fair. I could probably talk a whole hour on just how much we need, like, what's happening to, like, Gen Z males.
Yeah.
Let's not.
Yeah. On next week, on a
Maybe
very
next
special episode.
Where Rob sits in a corner and talks to himself into a microphone. Yeah. Oh, my God. Well, since you've taken all these topics this way, I'm going to go with I had two. One was I was angry at Samsung, but we can leave that one for later.
I mean, I am interested, but
do you really want to know?
No, I mean, we can talk about that at any point.
Okay, we can talk about that one later. But so this last week, I was actually a little taken back. I didn't know what to think, and I had to do some research on it. Do you remember who Keven Spacey was?
Yeah.
Yeah. He just got an award. Let me get back to my notes. In France.
You are not going to believe this.
I won't.
I actually know what you're talking about.
No, well, yeah, I figured this one might be a little relevant to how we kind of roll together.
Yes.
If I could find the page, I will get in.
Well, I mean,
there we go.
Contextualizing, I can actually talk a lot about Keven Spacey as a person, not a human being, but, you know, widely considered one of the greatest actors of all time.
Yeah.
Like, incredible. I once upon a time fucking loved Keven Spacey. I thought this man could do no wrong, and I was wrong. Because
well,
yeah, so
we can get sticky in this.
Yeah,
but go on.
Don't mention sticky and Keven Spacey. But he.
I'm not 14. I'm fine.
Yeah, but yeah, he God damn it.
I should. All right, give me the floor for a few minutes.
No worries.
I'll kind of go through a little bit of it. And I wasn't sure what to think because he went to the Cannes Film Festival and he got the Engagement Award there, and he gave about a 10-minute power speech, and it was kind of like almost like his rebirth on this thing, and some of the stuff he talked about was kind of interesting. So I did some research. Basically, between 2002 and 2014, it seems like he had a very interesting history in sexual assault, mostly on men, mostly around the age of 14 or, underage. Of those, he's had in 2022 in Britain, he had 9 sexual offenses against him. Of those, all acquitted. And
Does
then
it say why they were acquitted?
Lack of evidence, no real details to them. That is kind of the high level.
Gotcha.
And then in 2002, he had another one in the U.S. also defended, and not enough evidence. All that. What I will say, he still has 3 civil cases by 3 men, or he has civil cases by 3 men still outstanding. I'm not saying that he's innocent and he didn't do any of these things, but the reason I bring all that up is he's been exonerated of most of the stuff that has happened. How long do we punish someone, and how do we separate the art from the person? Like, I don't think not anymore Keven Spacey's running around trying to assault 14-year-old boys. How long do you punish someone? How can they actually prove they've rehabbed or not rehabbed? I'm missing remorse. And then and a lot of the stuff that he does say, even during all those times, is very remorseful in some of the situations. Like, if that happened, maybe I was drunk, maybe this thing happened, things like that. There's articles around that. I mean, when you look at someone like Michael Vick, remember him, football player? Yeah, all the dog fighting.
Yeah.
He put himself into prison during the whole time of the trial, pled guilty, went through it, did his time, actually came back to play in the NFL. He still does some announcing for Fox and CBS at times. Do we feel he's done his time, done his stuff? What do we think about Spacey in the situation? And this comes back to a lot of like, not just this, but like how much do we separate the art from the person? And I don't know. It's just a really big sticky thing, and I wanted some opinions. And
no, and I'm glad you brought this up. I'm chomping at the bits here actually, because I have I wouldn't say strong opinions about this. I have very strong feelings about this because I'm on both sides of it. And I try to, because obviously if he did these things, he shouldn't have done them. That's bad.
Right.
Not enough. And this is important to say. Not enough evidence does not mean he did not.
No, I still think there's something. Yeah, there's something in this, right?
And from what I understand, he has had at least some struggles as a gay man, because as soon as anything came out about him potentially having assaulted, sexually or harassed or whatever, young boys.
The charges were sexual assault.
Yes. Okay. So as soon as anything came forward, he immediately outed himself. Mm-hmm. And he was like, look,
I think he tried to use that, and I do believe he should try to use that as a way to try and like sidestep the problem. It doesn't matter the gender. You fucking sexually assaulted someone.
and so and I agree. That's poor timing.
Yeah.
That if that was supposed to be a genuine moment, that was not the time.
Right.
That being said, these attacks, I can see if someone is struggling with their sexual identity, how that can creep up in ways that are extreme.
Right. And that's one of the things I was wondering here.
And that does not absolve him. I will say
I'm
that. I'm
not saying that either.
Yeah, but there is, as a human being who, I mean, I did theater in high school. I've met a lot of, I'm not saying all gay people do theater, but they do.
They do enjoy the arts.
Yeah, and so I can imagine the toll that would take. I can, especially if you're a public figure, where it's like, I mean, I can't think of any really romantic roles he's had with women. But that being said, I mean, and there have been a lot of gay I think his name's Rupert Everett, who even said that once he came out, all of his lead acting roles went out the window.
I can believe that.
And again, not saying that that's an excuse to molest anyone or do anything like that, but I can see that if you are a Keven Spacey level actor, which he is, I'm sorry, before
he is the Keven Spacey.
Before his fall from grace, I was a diehard. I thought he could do no wrong.
Same.
He Seven, one of my favorite movies of all time. He's in it for about 15 minutes and damn near steals the show.
Yeah.
I loved House of Cards. I loved his personality when he was on like award shows and shit like that. He had just hosted the Tonys when all this came out. It was really hard for me as a fan, but going to the, I think if he has at least some legit remorse and it doesn't happen again, I think there's at least room for forgiveness. I don't know him personally. I don't hang out with him. I don't know if I would even enjoy hanging out with him, which I've never said about anybody on this show. But I think Sharon Stone came forward at one point and said, we should forgive Keven Spacey. And which is a very sensational thing to say. And when the reporter asked why, she said, do you know how many men have touched me over the years without consent and not one of them apologized or showed any remorse for it? So I think that's something to leave it with.
And I think that's the thing. That's a very good way to put it. That helps me in kind of think through this a lot, because that's really, I guess, what I'd be looking for is some remorse. This isn't happening, because Kevin Spacey still has a lot of life to live. And the idea that someone is literally walking dead just kills me. It doesn't matter who it is.
Yeah. And I think on the topic though, and I think that that's a good place to leave him as a human. It's just like, if he's remorseful, and that's the thing, being remorseful and learning and learning that you in your younger days were not perfect.
Yeah.
And if any of this is true, he was very, very far from perfect. I
think we've all made mistakes.
Maybe not to this extreme.
Not to this extreme, but
acknowledging that he had done something that he shouldn't have done, and maybe handled himself poorly, and that really affected someone who was not as emotionally mature as him and was not consenting.
Right.
And acknowledging that, I think that's good acknowledgement. That's moving forward in a way that you're not absolving yourself of anything that you've done. And I think that that's probably the most important thing.
Because I think I'm to close on this one, and I think that's why I brought all this up, is because much like yourself, I was a massive fan of his, and the fact that he's basically done in that, like, I feel like that sucks, but also I can understand why. Yeah. But if you were ever to come back, what would that even look like? Because there's and we've talked about we talked about Joe Gunn, who now apparently doing DC movies and stuff too, right? Like, we've talked about all these things that in people's pasts, that, there's a ton of things I regret, but I don't want them to make my whole world.
But and I think we're probably gonna have to wrap it up here soon, but going with the separating the art from the artist, it's not easy. And have I talked about Chris Benoit at all on this podcast? So
don't think so.
When the Me Too thing,
I usually black out when you start speaking.
That's fair. That honestly, me too. That's why I keep speaking. But during the Me Too movement, there were all these people being canceled, and deservedly so, for the shitty things they'd done, and people are watching their heroes fall from grace. And that was just a lot of people in a small amount of time learning that they were not as good as we all think they were.
Right.
I grew up a wrestling fan, which we've already talked about. And there's a wrestler named Chris Benoit who is...
I remember him.
Yeah. And he is probably the most disgraced wrestler on the planet, because he... And the sad thing is well, I'll get into this afterwards, but he killed his infant son, his wife, and then himself.
I remember that happened.
Yes.
God, I'd almost forgotten all about that.
Yeah, and his entire professional history was almost wiped clean overnight when that was found out. The sad thing for me, well, I'll get to that part later. Regardless of how I felt about him, he was and is considered one of the greatest professional wrestlers of all time. Just an incredible talent.
Definitely massive athlete.
Someone who took his craft very seriously, someone who did it on a level that was considered one of the best. And it showed in his work ethic, everything you've heard about him, because that was the thing. This would not be a shocker if he wasn't an incredible athlete. It would be professional wrestler, double murder, suicide, and it would all have been like, oh, that's really sad, and no one would talk about it ever again, because it didn't matter how talented he was. So, personally, I can say, at the time he died, Chris Benoit was my fucking hero. I loved Chris Benoit. He was my favorite wrestler. I still have a DVD of his that I do not watch. And it was really hard. It was extremely. I think he died in 2010.
Oh yeah,
2011, something like that.
I'd have to look.
And I was like bored. 2010, 2011. I was 8th grade going into high school, and one of my heroes I found out had this incident, and I looked into a lot about this behind the scenes. But initially, it really was like, well, what the fuck? I love this dude. One of the greatest of all time. Like, a hero of mine. Started out the Royal Rumble at number 1, won the damn thing, went to WrestleMania, won the championship, like, fucking confetti. It was fantastic. I lost my fucking mind. Within, like, 5 years, kills his son and wife, and then himself.
Mm-hmm.
And I could do a real deep dive into everything that went behind it.
That's going to be your special.
Yes. But it was really hard for me. And you know, and it was really hard to wrap my mind. And I haven't been able to really watch any of his stuff from back in the day because of that, even though it is imprinted in my mind at a young age as greatness.
Right.
But fast forward, me too. All these people are getting canceled, and I'm like, none of y'all were wrestling fans in the 2000s, were you? You know,
geez.
Like, I'm literally sitting there like, I've done this before. It is awful. It is an adjustment. It really is seeing that, you know, these people are human.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's up to the individual to decide what they're comfortable with as far as their body of work.
Fair.
Because I don't think if you listen to, shall we say, R. Kelly. If
or
you listen,
Marilyn Manson.
Yeah,
yeah. I was thinking about that over the weekend. It came up on my playlist, and I was like, I kind of want to skip this guy's.
Yeah, and that's that's the thing is it really is up to the individual. I don't think there should be any form of public shame for anyone who indulges in someone's art as long as they acknowledge what they've done. Mm-hmm. And I think I might be quoting Dave Chappelle on this. I might be directly quoting Dave Chappelle. Don't sue me, Dave Chappelle. I love you.
Don't sue us. That would be the coolest thing that ever happened to us.
But I think if you can be like, no, R. Kelly is a piece of shit who took advantage of women. He also made great music. Mm-hmm. And I enjoy his music. Not me personally, but I'm.
But I know people who do.
Yeah. I think that then in those cases, there should be no public shaming. There should be no. I mean, we go back in time and look at, artists that we still look at, art that we still look at. And if we do deep dives into a lot of those people, it's like, oh, yeah, the Renaissance was a real fucked up time. Should we just burn all these paintings?
Yes.
And it's like, but yeah, so that's how I feel about the separating the art from the artist. I know I can still watch some Keven Spacey movies. Seven is one of them. I still have not finished House of Cards, even though I enjoyed it immensely. Mm-hmm. There are other movies of his where he pops up where I'm like aware that he's gonna be there. And I have feelings, and I have feelings about it, as you do. Yeah. And I think that that's okay. And I recently, in a rage, I just about threw everything I have that involves Neil Gaiman away, because of what's going on with him. And
let's bring that up next week.
No worries. It's just. I will leave it at that. I think it's up to the individual. If you're acknowledging what someone has done that might be shitty and still indulging in their work, there's nothing wrong with that.
I want to know about the Neil Gaiman thing. Maybe we'll talk about that offline or afterwards.
Yeah, no worries.
All right, two movie hot takes, and then we're out of here.
Okay.
All right, the Fountain of Youth that's coming out, that should just be The Adventures of Jane Foster.
Yeah.
And if you know the Marvel MMU, you know that. So that also goes to my second one. Thunderbolt. I think the Thunderbolts is doing bad because Disney has fucked up the MMU with all their fucking streaming shows.
I disagree because I love the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, well, I think it's a great movie. It's doing terrible in the box office because
is it really?
Yeah, it's their second to worst.
Go watch the fucking Thunderbolts.
That's
if
right.
You're listening to this, we're going to get a party together, okay? We're going to get a party bus. We're going to go watch the Thunderbolts. Love you all.